Hey there, everybody. Welcome to this month's Contributor of the Month video. I'm very lucky to be joined this month with Bishal Das. This is the Contributor of the Month, which was not only chosen by me this time around, but this was the unanimous vote between all of the maintainers for who deserved to be the Contributor of the Month. So in this video, we're going to have a chance to get to know Bishal a little bit more, what got Bishal interested in open source and in Komiser in particular, and we can go through some of the work that he's been doing to really deserve the uh, the accolade of Contributor of the Month for October 2023. So Bishal, welcome. Congrats again. And could you tell us a little bit about your background?
First of all, thank you for having me here. And I was really delighted when you just DM'd me that I got selected as a contributor of month from the Komiser, and it's been really a good experience for me to being in this community. So let me tell about myself. Hello everyone, I'm Bishal Das, and currently I'm an CS engineering student pursuing my bachelor's from Asansol Engineering College, which is located in my city itself. And currently I am doing open source and got involved with a lot of communities. And also I've been just trying to get involved with such other good work which has been happening around my community. Uh, so so if I talk about my technological aspects, like what tech stacks I'm currently working on, so currently I'm working on Golang and Python for some DevOps stuff has been happening around, and I'm really interested to do such a thing, to writing script and all those other things. And also I have been contributing to such a big communities and such a big project which is hosted under CNCF, which is also known as Kubernetes, which I've been contributing. It's been 1 year. And also I've been trying to involve with some global and local communities, and trying to help with other contributors as well, so that they can get started with their contributions and get involved with such community and help the communities and other folks as well. Yeah.
Very cool. And just before jumping on the call, we were speaking, you and I, and you were telling me that the area where you're located, Asansol, isn't necessarily the most vibrant. There isn't the most vibrant tech community there. And when we think about like kind of like open source conferences and where like the magic happens in the open source world, d- inside of India, it's probably not around your area in particular. So how did you get exposed to open source initially? How did you get exposed to this area of technology that you're like so actively participating in now?
uh, it's been 2 years since I started my open source journey, and so let me tell you the story, like how I came into this open source field. So back in my freshman year of my college, it's a phase of all about exploration and all those other things, and I was at the same stage, and I was exploring various things like web development, data structure and algorithm, DevOps stuffs, which was happening around, and folks were learning about that, but was not much ever in my college. But at that time I just heard about a very fancy name, this community. And I suddenly I started to getting involved with those communities where I see, the folks are really working and building some amazing things for the community and helping the folks. So I got interested into that, well, how they're doing and how they're helping the other folks. So, and from one community I just got to learn and got to hear one another community which is very famous, like CNCF community, Cloud Native Computing Foundation, where I got to learn about one fancy tool, Kubernetes, and from where my open source journey started. And it's all about, it has been happening, and it keeps me putting my interest into open source and working towards the community and helping the folks and all those other things. And yeah, of course, I forgot to mention one thing. This year I have been working as Google Summer of Code participants under open source organization, and it's been really a good experience for me, because this is such a global community where the folks are really doing awesome works. And make a healthy connection with the other folks as well. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it really is amazing, and I love asking people about specifically when was the moment in which they learned about open source and what was the kind of like eureka moment, because and I think I've spoken about this before, but for me it was just I remember it vividly. Like before working in technology, I was working as an English teacher, and I remember teaching uh,
Wow.
a technology professional who was from Turkey at the time, and he mentioned, oh yeah, if you're interested in learning more about technology, this was probably around 5 or 6 years ago. He says definitely learn about Kubernetes. Kubernetes is something, it's going to take off. You really want to know about it. And then I started looking into Kubernetes a little bit more, and then I kind of got my first job in technology, and then I learned that this tool was maintained, upkept, expanded, not by any particular company, but by a huge international group of open source contributors. And yeah, I was just it was such a eureka moment to think that, whoa, if you work in technology, what a gift it is that you can choose to work on projects that you have an active hand in, and how rare that is in other industries. Like a lawyer doesn't have the possibility of updating the constitution of their country, or like a a doctor doesn't have the capacity to update the manual,
Yeah.
so it's always interesting to see how people came on, and what the eureka moment for them was. um but
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Kubernetes is such an awesome community, and the helpful community which I have came across so far. It's so vast, and there are so many SIGs involved. SIGs, if you may have heard about it, is a special
Yeah.
interest group. Currently, I've been working for SIG Docs and SIG Contributor Comms, and I'm working as an official reviewer under SIG Talks and reviewing a lot of peers and helping the folks as well, so that they can get their contribution and get their PR merged under the Kubernetes repository. It's quite interesting and quite good community as well. Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the Kubernetes open source community, that's the big leagues. That's the community that other communities look up to with regards to how to organize working groups, how to organize the work, and how to make the kind of like the user experience of the contributor as best as
Yeah.
possible. But speaking specifically about how you choose to contribute and what projects kind of catch your attention, what kind of like goes through your mind? What are your kind of requirements to potentially contribute to a project or not?
Like for any open source project, or
Exactly, for any potential
yeah. So
open source
yeah,
project that
for
you're thinking about.
yeah, in order to get starting our contribution towards any open source project, my tip always would be to just go through, not first hop into the code base of that project, because you might stuck at some point, like how they are doing or what code they have been written into their code base. So my suggestion is always to just use that tools or that software first, and grab some sort of experiences, like what problem it is actually solving. And after getting to know, 2 to 3 weeks, we can surely hop into their code base, like how they're writing their code and what function they have been trying to develop and implement. And after that, surely we'll get to know about that, and what I have been following, what practice I've been following for a long time. And it helped me a lot to just understand any open source project and get started my contributions. And also,
Mhm.
if I talk about specifically Komiser, which I didn't know about it, and I came across this tool from Twitter itself, where, Kunal Burma, who is an amazing person, shared through a through a Twitter post, like this commissioner tool is really helping a lot and solving a really good issue in terms of cloud cost and all those other things. And I just hopped into the Discord channel and GitHub repository, and after, I just used first Commissar, like what problem they're solving, and how to set up Commissar into locally into my project. And after that, I just got to check their issues, like what issues is opened, and some sort of good first issues, because some contributors, in order to get started their contributions, good first issues are really good to go for them to get started their contributions. So I hopped into the issue section, and I read about the description of the issue, and after that I got to and started learning about those resources. Like currently I've been working for AWS resources for Komiser, and using AWS since 1 year, but haven't used or haven't written any API. I haven't used any API of AWS yet, but through Komiser I get to know about it and using and writing some functions as well. So that's the thing I was talking about. Use the software first, and after that go to the code base and write some function, solve the issue, get your PR merged, and you will be damn good contributor for their open source projects.
For sure, yeah. And you kind of jumped the gun a little bit, because I was going to ask you specifically about that. What was it particularly about Komiser that got you excited to contribute? Because you've been part of the community for over a couple of months now, for sure. And yeah, I was wondering if it was the tool itself, or if it was you looking for an opportunity to practice your Go skills a little bit more. So yeah, it was a bit of both from what you said.
Yeah, of course. I was learning Golang and was working on some Golang projects. It's web-based Golang projects, and I was about to learn like how to solve some sort of issues of real-world open source project through Golang. So and at that moment, I got to see the post of Kunal Verma, this awesome tool which I came across, Komiser, and from that I got started with my contribution to enhance my Golang skills and all those other things by contributing. And yeah, of course, because I always believe that learn by contribution. So while contributing I'm learning a lot, and yeah, of course you can see my work on the issues which I've been working and trying to solve those things.
Yeah, and now specifically speaking about your contributions, one of the contributions that you've been working the most on has been the cost calculation for AWS
Yep.
CloudFront distributions and functions. Could you just tell us a little bit about how the experience of working on that has been? Because I know from a lot of the Commissar weekly meetings that we've been going through, it hasn't been necessarily one of the easiest initiatives to pick up. That there's been a lot of back and forth on the best way of going about um, running these cost calculations for each of these resources. So what have been some of the challenges, and who have you been working closely with?
Yeah, so the first issue which I can remember, it was fixing the cost calculation of S3 service. So basically on the Commissar code base, it was totally, the cost calculation was totally static based. So it was just fetching some sort of price, and it was putting as a hard coded value in order to calculate the cost. So after reading the description of that issue, which Mohammed mentioned there, to just just like how to make a dynamic calculation in order to get the S3 issue solved there. So I just hopped into the AWS API, just like SDK, Go SDK of AWS. There are a lot of functions was mentioned there, and also I followed the uh, code base and the functions the which Commissar has been following, and the function they have been written, like pricing, and how they're fetching the pricing via the pricing client, and getting the pricing output. And after getting the pricing output, we are trying to fetch the appropriate cost of the particular service and a particular resource. And after grabbing those, and it's totally based on the research, because we are trying to get the appropriate and appropriate cost for a particular resource, just like lambda function, just like lambda. Currently I'm working on the CloudFront distribution and CloudFront function. It's totally a hard work to you can understand, it's totally a good effort to search about the particular cost and working on the region. And the challenge which I faced was to just search a cost for a particular region, which currently I'm trying to solve. And you can see the issue, not the issue, it's a PR of CloudFront distribution. It's a long conversation has been happening there uh, to solve this particular issue, and I'm getting the suggestion from Azan, I think, yeah. Getting the suggestion, I'm trying to solve those issue, solve that particular pair, whatever he is suggesting, via from the location perspective, and I'm trying to solve it from just fetching that pricing client and all those other things. And uh, thank God it's solved now for the location, and it's ready to it's ready to march after the final review by any reviewer there.
Yeah, and it's incredible work that you and the team are doing because just for a little bit of context, what Commissar aims to do is to be kind of like fully functioning cloud transparency tool. And one of the main things that Commissar tries to do is for you to um, easily connect a cloud account, and Commissar will fetch all of your resources, building resource inventory. And when it comes to cloud transparency, cost is a big part of that. And as you know firsthand, calculating, aggregating costs is not easy. And as you mentioned there, for you might solve cost calculation for a certain service, but then you realize that the pricing is applied differently per region. So there's so many different kind of aspects of the solution that need to be taken care of. And I know one of the things, and this is also just to give a bit of context to people who are watching that might not have been following the work that's been going on so far. Um, Commissar doesn't only support AWS. Commissar supports a bunch of different cloud providers, and uh, each kind of fetching process is done per service, and the pricing is then calculated at the service level. So there was a lot of we realized this with the maintainers, that there was a lot of kind of repeated code, specifically when it came to pricing. So there was a lot of conversations about abstracting the pricing, at least for example the fetching the price maps to abstract that out, so it would be above the service level to just kind of like make the process more efficient. But that of course hasn't been an easy process, but you've been a big part of that conversation. So I was just wondering if you kind of like imagine like for here to like the end of the year, how do you think cost on Commissar is going to be? How is it going to evolve, at least for AWS?
Yeah, so when I joined Komisar as a contributor, um, 1 month back, it was it was solving a lot of things, and it was fetching a lot of cost and all those other things efficiently. But after 1 month working and got to know about the functions and how it is solving, I can see that after ending this year, the cost calculation of AWS gonna be next level, because we are working efficiently with such a good peoples there, like Avinesh, Azan. They're such a good person, and they always keep helping us to in order to solve any kind of issues and to make any PR efficient. Like, some hard coded value always used to put there, but they are trying to make it dynamic. So this cost calculation of AWS, end of this year, is going to be efficient, and the customer of Comiser will always and feel that we are using Comiser, and they will feel the vibe of Comiser. Like, any other tool cannot solve this such a hard issue, such a toughest issue, to just get perfect and the appropriate cost from the AWS, which Commissar is solving right now. So it's gonna be a next level tool to just use, and of course it's free for at this stage, and people, it's open source as well, so anyone can add any sort of features with Commissar. But yeah, on the work we are currently working on, and just trying to migrate some repeatedly function, so that our is code base will be little bit enhanced as well, so that any reader or any user who will got to see our code base, they will easily understand what the function is actually doing and what sort of issues it is solving. And we're also using some sort of comments with our code, that user can easily debug it, what it is actually solving. So yeah, it is going to be the next level, because and AWS and with the other cloud providers as well. And also besides that, parallelly currently learning about the Tencent cloud provider, so that I can see a lot of issues is being opened for a long time under Komiser. And where I am also focusing on to make the Tencent cloud provider enhanced as well, because the other cloud providers is such amazing work they have done, Avinesh and all those other contributors. For the Tencent, we should focus on we should change our focus to make it more enhanced besides AWS, so that user cannot feel or cannot feel any sort of issues or problems in the future. Yep.
That's amazing. That's great news because yeah, the Tencent support is very superficial at the moment. I mean, the support is there. If you have a Tencent account, you will be able to see, I think maybe definitely compute instances and maybe the database offering that Tencent has. But there's a lot of work to be done there. But by the way, I'm really happy to hear your enthusiasm with regards to the AWS coverage. For offered by Komiser, at least up until the end of the year. I totally agree. I think there's incredible work by you, by Avanesh, by Azan, and I think we're definitely going to get there. And because the cool thing is, if I think about the work that you've been doing so far and like the struggles with the particular PR around the AWS CloudFront distributions and functions, this is all kind of work of optimization and work that is going to then translate to the other services. So like all of these obstacles that you're kind of overcoming here, they're going to be those are lessons learned, and that are going to be easily applied to the other services. So it's great that you're doing all that great work now that will pay off in the next few months. Yeah, so I was just wondering before we let go, since in this short amount of time you've already been incredibly impactful, helping a lot out, not only in the particular PR that you're working on, but also giving great ideas in the Komiser weekly meetings, just adding to the conversation and being a great open source contributor overall. So since you're already doing so many great things in the open source community, what tips would you give other people that would want to be more like you in the open source community? Potentially people that are still starting out, they haven't closed their first PR yet.
Yeah. So let us suppose a folks or a person who don't even know about open source, like what open source is. So my suggestion would be to in order to get started with their contribution towards the open source, first step is to get involved with their community. And after involving with their communities, just see and get to start to attend their meetings, which is the most vital and the insightful things, like what and there you will get to know, you will get to know their updates, like what issues they are solving and currently, or which issues they are working, and all those other things which I have learned from the Kubernetes community. Because there always used to happen a lot of meetings there, and different meetings for different SIGs. So it's such a good practice to attend their meetings of such a community. So after attending their meetings, usually and gradually you will get to know about their practice, what they're following, and what you will get to know their release and updates on which they're working. And after that, you will, after, as I mentioned previously, that you should use their tools or their software first to before going to the code base. And after using their tools and software and try to integrate their tools into your code, into your project. And after that, grab you will grab the experience, like what it is solving and what kind of issue it is trying to solve in the real world. And after that, you will definitely go to their code base and trying to solve or trying to add some sort of features. And if there is some issue has been opened, just like labeled with the good first issues, you can surely go for it. You can get started with some good first issues there. And and if you get stuck at some point to solve that that much of issues, you can definitely ask into the community itself, because community are there to help you in any sort of conditions or any sort of situations. But yeah, ask a good questions, because if you ask a very foolish question there, that without any searching or without anything, the community members will, they are also tied to work with some busy works, and they are also busy to with their works and with their projects as well. So always try to search first, before going to ask that sort of questions to the community. And yeah, of course, you will get recognized by the community members as well. Yeah, such a good person, he is helping and trying to solve and trying to search first, and after that coming, if they got stuck at some point, and your contributions in open source journey will be smoother and smoother. That would be my suggestion to any open source newbies.
Perfect. Thanks a million for that. And I totally agree. It's such a difference to be able to help someone that you can tell from their question that they already thought about the issue. They've already tried a few things. They might have even told you what they've tried, and you can see specifically the issue that they might have. Other people might formulate a question, and you can obviously see that they probably didn't even check out the documentation. So if you do take that extra step of trying to juggle and kind of like battle the idea a little bit first before asking for help, then the contributors will be able to see that. The maintainers will be happy to help. So yeah, so thanks a million for your thoughts. Bishal, again, congrats on the incredible work done. Thanks a million for being a really, really great influence on the community, and 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 yeah, and
And
it's a pleasure to work alongside you.
yeah, I'm also really glad to be in this community, and got to learn so many things and helping the folks, and trying to make Komiser at a good level, so that user can easily recognize that it's a Komiser. Komiser is known for the cost monitoring and cost calculations of any cloud providers. And thank you so much for inviting me. It's really
Yeah, no,
good to talk to you.
you're more than welcome. And hopefully we'll have more chances to speak again. Having said that, we have a Twitter space tomorrow, which I
Yeah,
think hopefully you'll be able to join too, and maybe give
yeah.
a bit of your story there. That would be incredible. But apart from that, thanks a million for everything. Have a great one.
Thank you so
All the
much.
best. Bye bye.
Bye.